She was just a hotel waitress. No title, no spotlight, no reason to be remembered. And he, a powerful CEO, silent, distant, alone. But the real story? It wasn't about business, or even words. It was about a little boy who hadn't spoken in months, and the woman who helped him find his voice with nothing but kindness, cocoa, and a heart. Stay with us. This isn't just a story of strangers meeting. It's about how one quiet connection can rewrite everything. Lina Berg, 33, carried the last breakfast tray through the quiet dining hall of a mountain hotel. It was still early. Mist floated between the peaks. Most guests were quietly enjoying their meals. But one table in the corner was different. A man sat there in a dark suit, calm, sharp features, very still. Next to him, a little boy, around 6, with golden hair and wide, silent eyes. Lina noticed immediately. No eye contact, no smile, no thank you, just silence. "May I bring the orange juice?" she asked gently. The man gave a quick nod. The boy stared down at his hands like they were all he had. It felt like this table belonged to another world, one where words didn't matter. Later, Lina asked her colleague at the front desk. "That's Alexander Cronenberg, CEO. Traveling alone," she whispered. "Always polite, always distant." "And the boy?" Her coworker shrugged. "His son, maybe. They say the mother died. And since then, nothing. He doesn't talk. No one knows how to reach him." Lina couldn't forget how the boy stared at his fork like it might speak, and how the father didn't try to break the silence, like he had accepted it completely. She didn't know why, but something about it touched her. The next morning, Lina prepared their table again. This time, the boy had a small stuffed elephant. She crouched to his level and smiled. "What's his name?" she asked. No answer, just a tight hug around the elephant. The father was focused on his tablet, as always. "I had one too," she said softly. "His name was Paul, brave little thing, but I'm terrified of elevators." The boy slowly lifted his head, just a flicker, caution and curiosity. She didn't say more. She simply placed his cocoa in front of him, then gave the elephant a playful bow before walking away. Alexander noticed. Felix, his son, had responded, not with words but with a spark. No pressure, no sympathy, just gentle respect. Something Alexander hadn't seen in years. He was used to controlling stock prices, meetings, and people. But this moment, this was something else, and it made him stay, longer than he planned. Later that day, Felix cleared his plate on his own. A small act, but a miracle to Alexander. That evening, he quietly asked at the front desk, "What's the name of the waitress?" Just curious, he told himself, but something inside him had shifted. On the third morning, Lina brought Felix his cocoa again. This time, she added a small heart in the milk foam, not by accident, from the heart. Felix noticed. He touched the cup gently, then looked straight at Lina. She smiled. "Do you like it?" He didn't speak, but he lifted the elephant slightly, like it was nodding. Alexander saw. He heard the softest sound of connection. Not a word, but something real. Lina was just about to leave when she heard Felix clear his throat. Gently. It wasn't a word, but it was the start of something. Later that day, in the staff lounge, her coworker asked, "Something going on with little Cronenberg?" Lina smiled. "I don't know, but I think he's listening." That evening, Alexander approached her quietly. "May I speak with you?" His voice wasn't cold. "Just be careful." He didn't ask what she knew about his son. He just said, "Thank you." "For what?" Lina asked. "For seeing what no one else sees. For noticing. For patience. For what I forgot." It wasn't flirtation, not an invitation. Just a man finding his way back to feeling. The next day, Felix came without the elephant, but he brought a small drawing, a heart, a chocolate bar, and a blonde woman kneeling beside him. Lina recognized herself. "Is that for me?" she asked. Felix handed her the paper, then slowly shaped his lips and made a small circle with his finger. Ko. Alexander stood nearby, behind him, still as ever. But that small sound, it was louder than anything he'd heard in years. Lina smiled. And this time, Felix smiled back. A child who hadn't spoken in ages had found the courage to try, because someone saw him. That evening, Lina found an envelope in the staff mailbox. No logo, no sender, just her name. Inside, a handwritten note. I don't know how to invite someone for tea properly, but I'd like to. Don't expect anything. Just me. Alexander. She held it for a long time. She had known men who demanded, who talked too much, who made everything about themselves. But this man hesitated, and that's why she said yes. Lina arrived just as she was. Not fancy, not shy. Dark blue coat, a simple ponytail. Alexander was already on the terrace of the small tea pavilion, normally used for business deals. Tonight it was empty, just 2 cups and snow-capped hills in the distance. Thank you for coming, he said, and meant it. They sat. The silence didn't feel heavy, it felt calm. Without looking at her, Alexander said, I almost gave up on him, not as my son, but as a person. I forgot how to reach him. Lina replied softly, he never stopped feeling, he just stopped expecting anyone to notice. They talked for hours, not about their pasts, but about little things. Why tea tastes better in porcelain? Why do kids speak their bravest thoughts right before bedtime? As they stood to leave, Lina paused. Alexander gave her a quiet look, not asking, just hoping. I'm not from your world, Mr. Cronenberg, she said. He shook his head. That's exactly why I'm here. They both smiled. No kisses, no promises, but something deeper. Trust. The next morning, Lina walked into the dining hall, but something had changed. At reception stood a stylish woman in high heels. Beside her, Felix. No elephant, no cocoa. And you are, the woman asked coldly. The waitress? How cute. I work here, Lina answered calmly. And Felix is someone I know. The boy reached for her hand. Naturally, no fear. The woman froze. I'm Beatrice Cronenberg, his aunt. You should know your place. At that moment, Alexander walked in. He stopped. Beatrice, he said, come with me, now. She's playing tricks on him, she snapped. You let a waitress interfere? Before a board meeting? Alexander said nothing for a long moment. Then slowly he looked at Lina, then at Felix, then back. And with quiet pride, he said, You're wrong. Lina didn't take anything. She gave something you never understood. Trust, patience, warmth. Beatrice didn't reply, but the line had been drawn. Alexander had chosen his side. 2 days later, Lina took the day off. No reason given, not because of Beatrice's words, but because of how foreign and unwanted she felt at that moment. She returned that evening briefly to grab something from her locker. Inside was another note, folded. I've built my life on numbers, control, and plans. But you've shown me something else. Some things grow only when you stop trying to control them. Felix doesn't need a therapist. He needs someone to see him, and so do I. Lina folded the note gently. There was no request, just an invitation. The next morning, Felix stood at the breakfast room door. He held a cocoa. In the foam, a crooked heart. When Lina saw him, her breath caught. But it wasn't the drink, it was the smile. And then, the softest sound. Lina. Not loud, not perfect, but clear. Alexander stood back, silent. He didn't speak, because what he felt couldn't be spoken. Awe. Lina bent down, cupped Felix's cheek. I heard you, she whispered. And in that moment, she wasn't just seen, she was needed. That evening, Alexander invited her for a walk. No fancy dinner, no pressure, just the snowy paths behind the hotel. Their footsteps are the only sound. I told Beatrice to back off, he said softly. Not because I'm angry, but because I won't let decisions be made over people anymore. Not for Felix, not for you. Lina looked at him. And what are you willing to allow? He met her eyes. No walls. That my feelings are real, and maybe that's enough. She stepped closer. No kisses. Just forehead to forehead. A promise whispered. We're not starting over. We're starting with the truth. Months later, the three of them shared breakfast. Felix now spoke, slowly, happily. He and Lina were laughing about a toy store elephant. Alexander smiled. Not the old CEO's smile, a real one. Lina poured his tea. Their hands brushed. He looked up. No fairy tale, no fireworks, just this quiet moment. And in it, everything. Faith, connection, and a life that grew. Not planned, but given. Felix leaned against her and whispered, "Coco, with a heart." And Lina knew, sometimes by changing someone's life, you find your own. No big moments, no dramatic ending, just a quiet morning. A boy who smiled, a man who softened, and a woman who simply saw them. She didn't fix them. She didn't try. She just cared. And that was enough to change everything. Because sometimes the smallest things, a glance, a drawing, a cup of cocoa with a heart, can awaken something we thought we lost. And if you're lucky in giving love quietly, you just might receive a whole new life in return.